I am Wilhelm Helsingius, and I have psychology and cognitive psychotherapy degrees. Welcome to the 11th episode of the Love Unconditionally Handbook. Now, we'll explore the profound value of talking to strangers. You might be wondering why I'm talking about the benefits of connecting and speaking with unfamiliar people, and I completely understand. The reason is this. When you have a real, honest conversation with a stranger, it can spark something powerful. It can bring about a sense of aliveness, a deep feeling of connection, not unlike what you might feel when you're in love or completely infatuated. This is possible if you allow yourself to be fully present and truly connect with the other person. A large portion of distressing feelings, psychological stress, and other uncomfortable, unhealthy mental states is often generated by your thoughts. These thoughts lose much of their influence over you when you focus your attention on being present with someone you don't know. However, the impact of this experience depends on how much you are able to be present, connected and engaged, as opposed to getting lost or staying in your own thoughts. Regularly exposing yourself to experiences that draw you into the present moment is incredibly beneficial. It helps to gently disrupt habitual thought patterns and mental routines, offering you a fresh perspective. Speaking with a stranger accomplishes this in a soft and natural way. You might also wonder what it means to be in contact or truly connected with another person or how to achieve it. For me, emotional contact is about tuning in. In other words, it involves synchronizing with or adapting to the other person's emotional state and being fully present with them. If you are a bit older, you might remember how, in the past, you had to turn the knob on the radio to find the right frequency when you wanted to listen to a specific channel. This was also a way of tuning in. Another example is when you sing together with someone else. Then you tune into the same tone or a tone that stands in a particular relationship to the other person's tone. In this way, your voices can resonate with each other and merge into one. When your voices reach the same frequency, a harmony emerges, and they merge together, becoming something that we experience as one. In the same way, people can experience genuine connection by emotionally tuning into each other. Just as voices blend when we sing together, we can become something greater than just the sum of two individual persons when we truly engage with someone, tuning in and being present with them. However, two people who either do not wish to or are unable to emotionally tune in with each other remain as two separate entities. Many people love singing in a choir or listening to choral music because it allows them to experience this shared resonance and connection. A powerful example of shared resonance, in my opinion, is found in the performances of the artist Jacob Collier. He not only invites the audience to resonate with what he presents, but also encourages them to create sound themselves, to contribute to the frequency. In this way, everyone present and enjoying the concert moves beyond being mere recipients of his music. Instead, each individual actively participates in generating the frequency. At the same time, they experience a deep sense of shared resonance, with which they can identify and of which they are an integral part, while simultaneously becoming one with the audience around them and with Jacob himself. In other words, they merge with the frequency or the connection. Many who have experienced this describe it as one of the most special experiences of their lives. Just like during a Jacob Collier concert, when you talk with someone, especially with a stranger, you can not only tune in and resonate with them, but also actively create the mutual frequency with which you both can connect and resonate. In this way, you don't just connect with the person, but also with the connection itself, and in doing so, you can experience what it is to be one. This experience is something to which our entire body and psyche respond positively. It reinforces the sense that we are not isolated islands, and that we become who we actually are through our connection to each other. As I mentioned earlier, one of the body's most important tasks is to be in contact. That is why we get to experience all the wonderful physical and psychological experiences that arise when we tune in and are in contact or resonating with each other. How do you then become better at tuning in and being in emotional contact? Well, you do it by gaining a more sensitive and clearer awareness and connection with your own feelings, in other words, through increased self-awareness. Your feelings can be seen as different frequencies, and the better contact you have with your own feelings or frequencies, the better you can tune into, recognize, and resonate with others' feelings and emotional states. Starting today, you can begin practicing how to tune in and establish emotional contact with others. Yes, you can experience this with anyone, but I challenge you to try it with complete strangers. Joe Cohen has authored a book highlighting the profound value and health benefits, both physical and mental, of engaging in conversations with strangers. He underscores that connecting with strangers plays a particularly crucial role in alleviating feelings of loneliness and enhancing mental well-being. Nowadays, we don't rely on each other physically as much as we used to. With the convenience of social media and mobile phones for maintaining relationships, we lose the opportunity to practice connecting with unfamiliar people. There was a time when we needed each other's help, and connecting with strangers was a natural part of daily life. Cohen highlights the fact that humanity itself was built on our ability to get along with strangers. At the same time, feelings of loneliness may be more common than ever. Research shows that loneliness can be as harmful to your health as smoking tobacco. Now, more than ever, after the pandemic, it's important to rekindle those spontaneous encounters, as studies show these interactions have a positive impact on our physical and mental well-being. Why do we find it difficult to talk to strangers spontaneously? How difficult or easy is it for you to initiate a conversation with someone you don't know? If it feels difficult, why do you think that is? Cohen addresses the negative assumptions we often have about how such interactions might go, even though the actual risk of rejection is very small. When you spontaneously reach out to a stranger, you're often pleasantly surprised. You may experience feelings of calm, safety, optimism, belonging, and connection. Additionally, it can positively influence how you view humanity as a whole. Through spontaneous encounters, we feel emotions that are the exact opposite of loneliness. If you feel lonely, depressed, anxious, or a lack of meaning in life, I encourage you to try reaching out to strangers. Of course, you shouldn't just rush out and talk to anyone. Think about where it might feel safe for both you and others to engage in spontaneous conversations. Start with lighter topics. Show genuine interest in how the other person thinks. And if you don't agree with them, ask open-ended questions that give them the chance to explain why they think the way they do or what experiences have shaped their perspective. You can share your own life story or advocate for your beliefs, but save that for later. Prioritize making the other person feel safe. Without safety, you won't be able to connect with them on a deeper level. Without safety, the interaction can feel stiff or artificial, no matter how skilled you are at communicating. In my experience, most people respond positively when you start with a simple question like, "Sorry, am I bothering you?" This question has opened many meaningful conversations for me and has often broken down potential prejudices or fears. Trust your intuition and begin with simple topics. If you overcomplicate things, try to overplan, or become overly nervous, the person you're talking to will sense it. This can make the interaction feel awkward. If you notice that you're nervous, allow yourself to be nervous. The more you try to suppress it, the stronger it becomes, and the situation may feel uncomfortable for the other person. But when you allow yourself to feel as you do, the other person will also feel more comfortable being themselves. There's nothing wrong with feeling unsure or anxious about how it will go. Most people understand that this is natural when approaching a stranger. Try to keep an open mind, stay curious, and pay attention to what's happening around you. Simply being mindful in this way can have a positive impact on your health. A significant part of talking to strangers is listening, even though our thoughts often tell us we need to know exactly what to say or control the situation to make the other person think like we do. We all have a need to be seen and heard. You might be the only person that day to show genuine interest in what the other person is thinking, feeling, needing, or missing. Cohen emphasizes that when you show genuine interest and listen, wonderful things can happen, and you might experience something truly special. I'd also like to remind you that everyone you meet, whether they're familiar or a stranger, may have something to teach you. If you don't like someone, it's likely because you don't know them well enough yet. Try to remember that, at a deeper level, we all share the same needs. On some level, we all fear not being good enough. Most people haven't received the emotional support they need, which can explain why they react the way they do, even though there may be something entirely different beneath the surface. If you find it difficult to talk to strangers, try to recognize where your fear is coming from. Be compassionate and understanding toward your fear. At the same time, remember that others likely feel the same way about spontaneous interactions. How much does your sense of shame hold you back from engaging with people you meet in everyday life? Could it be rewarding for you to start practicing talking to strangers more often? Cohen mentions in his book that talking to strangers increases your sense of happiness and gives you a feeling of connection, which is one of our most essential needs. I encourage you to step outside your comfort zone regularly and intentionally build connections with strangers. The more discomfort you feel at first, the greater the potential positive impact. From my own experience, these spontaneous interactions are incredibly rewarding. If it feels difficult in the beginning, just keep practicing and allow yourself to feel uncertain at first. What matters most is that you're genuine. Aim to be spontaneous and open-minded. The more you overthink or plan, the harder it becomes to be authentic. Your thoughts and ego can easily create barriers. Talking to strangers costs nothing, but it could be one of the best experiences you've had in a long time. Do you miss having someone to share your life with? If you feel lonely because you don't have a friend or life partner, I encourage you to take the step of talking to strangers. Doing so increases your chances of meeting a new friend or even a life partner. That said, I recommend pausing to reflect on what you have to offer, as opposed to focusing solely on what you want. When you become more aware of what you can give, and choose to be emotionally present, you create a far greater opportunity to truly connect with the person you're with. What within yourself could you nurture to help both you and the person you meet feel more at ease? How good are you at listening, not just hearing, but truly listening? How do you want the person you meet to feel when they are with you? What do you hope they will remember about you after your encounter? What would you want them to tell their closest friend about the time they spent with you? As you consider these questions, it's essential to remain genuine rather than adopting a role that doesn't reflect who you truly are. The key is to recognize whether you're stuck in patterns of excessive self-focus in an unhealthy way. We live in a time when the ego and its desires often overshadow genuine interest in those around us. At the same time, it's equally important to identify if feelings of shame cause you to please others in ways that don't align with your true self. If you find yourself pleasing others in ways that feel inauthentic or even harmful to yourself, pause to reflect on what you fear might happen if you stop prioritizing their needs over your own. Breaking free from this pattern, especially when driven by deep shame, can be surprisingly difficult. My advice is to treat yourself with as much compassion as possible. Start by standing your ground in easier situations. As you build confidence in less challenging moments, you can gradually take on more difficult scenarios. If you falter, be kind to yourself. The more you blame or punish yourself for perceived failures, the more your shame grows, making it harder to move forward. By stepping out of your comfort zone and challenging your habits, you can experience how safe it can be to express your own needs and boundaries. But let's return to the risks of unhealthy self-focus. I don't know anyone who has truly found fulfillment on a deeper level by being selfish. If you recognize any tendencies toward self-centeredness, ask yourself, have I received what I truly need on a deeper emotional level by focusing solely on my own needs? Have I become happier by being self-centered? How would it feel to try putting my own needs aside for a moment to be fully present for someone else? Allow yourself to be imperfect in approaching others. The more you accept being a beginner and trying anyway, the better you'll become over time. If you notice that you tend to gravitate toward a particular type of person, try consciously breaking that pattern. Have you ever thought about why you choose certain types of people, or what criteria you use to decide who to approach? Even as you try to change your approach, listen to your deeper intuition, especially if something feels off or someone's body language signals they want to be left alone. You might meet the greatest love of your life or your best friend in the most unexpected place. Keep in mind that your thoughts often focus on obstacles rather than possibilities. While breaking old habits, always prioritize creating a safe and respectful space for others. If you hesitate for too long before deciding to speak with someone, they may sense your uncertainty, which can create barriers. Most people respond positively to genuine spontaneity, and acting within 3 seconds can help preserve that authenticity. Consider this: are your feelings and needs the most important thing in the moment, or could the other person's experience be equally, or even more, important? This doesn't mean neglecting yourself, but rather balancing your focus. The goal isn't to abandon your own needs, but to show the other person that they matter to you. If they feel good in your presence, they're likely to become interested in you as well. And if they don't, you've lost nothing, you've taken responsibility, and that's all you can do. It's vital to act without expectations. If you're conditional in your approach, expecting a specific response or hoping someone will engage with you in a particular way, you risk creating unnecessary barriers. As I mentioned earlier, talking to strangers might cost you nothing, but it could bring you some of the most meaningful moments of your life. To put it simply, we so easily focus on what we need and want, or how we think the other person should or shouldn't be, instead of being open, genuinely curious, and willing to let go of our own desires for a moment to offer the other person our full presence. If you think you can multitask, engaging with someone while simultaneously doing or thinking about something else, you're deceiving yourself. Whether you like it or not, you can truly only do one thing at a time, no matter what your thoughts might try to tell you. When you meet someone or are in someone's company, respect yourself and the other person by giving them your full attention. If the person you are with doesn't give you their full attention, that's their choice. What matters most is that you take responsibility for your own actions. The moment the other person senses you are not fully present, their mind will likely begin searching for reasons why. This can become a direct barrier to establishing a real connection. Make a conscious effort to build a sense of safety, mutual respect, acceptance, and sincere care where your good intentions can shine through. Remember, if your intuition tells you that something you said or did didn't feel right for the other person, or if they visibly show discomfort, apologize, no matter what your thoughts might suggest. It's far worse to avoid apologizing when someone feels hurt than to apologize a few times unnecessarily. That said, you shouldn't overuse apologies either, as that can diminish their meaning. But if you're overly afraid of apologizing needlessly, you may end up not apologizing at all. If you realize later that you should have apologized, but didn't, it's perfectly okay to address it the next time you meet. Most people will respect you more when you show humility and consideration by offering an unconditional apology, even if it comes belatedly. Unconditional means you apologize sincerely, regardless of what your thoughts or ego might argue. When you've apologized unconditionally, don't justify or explain away your actions. Stand by your apology and what you did, no matter what your ego may suggest. If you try to justify yourself, it might provide a momentary sense of relief, but it undermines your credibility. If someone does something that feels wrong to you, address it immediately. If you wait to bring it up later, they may find it hard to trust that you'll honestly communicate your feelings when something bothers you in the moment. This can become a direct barrier to them feeling safe with you. If you avoid apologizing when you've caused discomfort and instead try to lighten the mood, comfort the other person, distract them, or change the subject, it's likely to result in them losing respect for you. This happens because they might feel you're ignoring their feelings and needs. If apologizing is difficult for you, treat yourself with understanding and take a moment to reflect on what deeper reasons might make it hard for you to say you're sorry. You have now reached the end of this episode. Oops, did I forget something? Of course, I haven't gone over the practical exercises for this section yet. These exercises are more important than ever, as we're spending more and more time in front of screens. 1. Exercise in having eye contact with a warm smile. Purpose: to begin creating connection without words. How? While out walking or in a shop, spontaneously notice someone. Meet their gaze. Offer a brief, genuine, and heartfelt smile. Observe their and your own reaction. Reflect, how did it feel? How did they respond? 2. A small comment to someone, staff, a conductor, a driver, or anyone you interact with regularly but who doesn't know you. Purpose. To dare say something small to a stranger, in a slightly safer context. How? Next time you're doing your daily errands, say something more than hi to the cashier, the driver, or whoever it is. For example, beautiful weather today, or have you had many customers today? Reflect. Did you feel nervous? What thoughts came up before you spoke? What did you say back to those thoughts? How did it feel afterwards, when you had managed to speak to a complete stranger? 3. Give a genuine compliment to a stranger. Purpose. To create a positive and spontaneous connection. Instruction. When you see someone with something you genuinely like, their clothes, their hair, their energy, say it out loud. For example, "Woo, wonderful shoes, so colorful. Such lovely energy, it's refreshing to meet such joyful people." Reflect. How did the person respond? How did it feel for you to say it? 4. Small talk in public transport or in a queue. Purpose. To take initiative for a conversation in an everyday setting, where the contact might last a bit longer, and where you can't immediately slip away if the person responds. How? Turn to someone next to you and say something simple about the situation. Looks like the bus is late again. Long line today. It's actually kind of nice to have to wait, a little chance to slow down. Reflect. Did it turn into a conversation? How did it feel? What did you learn? And if it felt uncomfortable, because you couldn't immediately walk away, pause. What made it difficult? Could it be shame? Perfectionism? A fear of taking space? What might it be, in you? 5. Ask a stranger something more personal, but light-hearted. Purpose. To dare go a little deeper. Instruction. In a conversation, ask something like, "What do you usually do to relax? Have you had a good day?" Reflect. Did you feel a sense of connection? Was it hard to ask? What did it feel like to show that you care, even though you don't know the person? 6. The stranger walk. Set a goal. Purpose. To challenge yourself with a clear and concrete goal. How? Go for a walk with this intention. I will speak to at least 2 people I don't know. It could be asking for directions, commenting on the weather, or simply saying something kind. The point is to truly make this a part of your daily life, and to gently stretch your comfort zone. If talking to strangers has felt uncomfortable before, you'll need more than a single positive experience to shift that. Your brain needs time and repetition to build new neural connections. That's how your associations will start to change. That's how your attitude toward spontaneous contact will slowly transform. Reflect. Were you surprised by anything? What did you learn about yourself when you spoke up despite the resistance in your mind, and when you kept going? I'm genuinely glad that you care and have the desire to grow as a fellow human being, as demonstrated by reaching the end of this section. If you found what I shared interesting or relevant, you can press the like button or subscribe. It helps others discover this handbook.